Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a pretty profound historical investigation, one that tries to connect ancient prophecies with a modern-day search for identity. It's called the Zakar Project.
So let's start with a big question, the one that's really at the heart of this whole thing. What if the people's true identity was just lost, erased? And what if the only clues to finding it again were hidden away in the pages of an ancient book? That's the quest we're exploring today.
To really get what this project is all about, we have to start with its name, because it's not just a title, it's basically a mission statement.
The word is Zakar. Now, in Hebrew, this isn't a passive word. It's not like remembering where you left your keys. It's an active, powerful verb. It means to purposefully bring something back to mind, to restore a memory, to pull a hidden truth out into the light. It's an act of restoration.
And this is a really key point. The project frames itself as a documentary investigation. It's not here to make a final declaration. Its whole mission is to look into the historical, biblical, and cultural evidence and to present the correlations it finds. It really leaves it up to you, the viewer, to examine the claims.
So, where does an investigation like this even begin? Well, it starts in a very specific place: ancient scriptures, mostly from the book of Deuteronomy. The idea here is that these texts might act as a kind of blueprint, a list of prophetic markers you could actually check against the historical record.
The very first marker they point to is this idea of a global scattering, a forced diaspora, a people spread out all across the world, from one end of the earth to the other, completely cut off from their homeland.
A second marker is, well, it's chillingly specific. It doesn't just talk about general bondage. It describes a very particular form of physical control, a yoke of iron placed on the neck.
And that brings us to a third detail, one that's really unique. A prophecy about going into bondage a second time. But this time, the journey into that captivity would be by ships.
You know, this prophetic blueprint goes way beyond just physical hardships. Other scriptures, like this one from Jeremiah, talk about a total separation from one's heritage, a kind of forced forgetting of culture, traditions, and history.
And maybe the most profound part of this blueprint, the texts seem to suggest a deliberate effort to completely erase the people's very name, their identity, so it would no longer even be remembered.
Okay, so we have the ancient texts. We have this supposed blueprint. Now let's shift gears completely and look at the cold, hard facts of the historical record. How do these markers stack up against verifiable history?
12.5 million. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's the estimated number of Africans who were forcibly put on ships and transported across the Atlantic Ocean. This was a captivity by ship on a scale that the world had never, ever seen before.
And the system itself was unique. This was something new. It was chattel slavery, meaning it was permanent and passed down to your children. It involved systematically destroying families, forcing people to take new names, and yes, historical records and artifacts absolutely confirm the widespread use of iron collars and shackle.
So the real core of the Zakar Project's investigation is what happens when you take that prophetic blueprint we talked about and you place it right next to the historical record.
When you lay it all out, side by side, the parallels are pretty striking. On one side, you've got captivity in ships, a yoke of iron, children being sold, a global scattering, and being given new names, or bywords. On the other side, you have the documented history of the transatlantic diaspora. The project is simply asking us to look at these correlations.
This brings us to what the source material presents as a final, really crucial point of connection: the systematic erasure of identity itself. And it all starts with the name.
Now, it's so important to understand, this wasn't an accident. Taking away a person's name, their family name, was a deliberate policy. It was one of the main tools of control, specifically designed to cut people off from their past, from their family, from their very sense of who they were.
And you can literally see on this timeline how that identity was constantly being redefined by outside forces. Each new label, Negro, colored, black, African American, it wasn't just a word. Each one corresponded to a new system of social and legal control, where a people's identity was being shifted without their consent.
So the investigation comes full circle, right back to the scripture. And it raises a pretty pointed question. Does this centuries-long process of being renamed by others, does that fulfill the prophecy of becoming a proverb and a byword?
And this is the question that sits at the very heart of the Zakar Project. This investigation, it's about presenting evidence, laying out these parallels,
and really beginning a journey to answer the most powerful question of all. When a memory has been erased, what does it take to truly remember?